Hey everybody, this is Carla Alexander here with Keeping It Real. How y'all doing today? Let's get down to the nitty gritty of everything. Let's just cut to the chase. Let's just get straight to the main meal. Menopause for Black women sucks. Now, you do have those out there who aren't going to have any symptoms, but the probability is still greater than any other race that we will have to deal with vasomotor syndrome. Just in case you're not aware of what VMS is, vasomotor syndrome, that is the ghetto version of perimenopause. I read an article the other day from oprahdaily.com, and I read any article that has anything to do with Black women and perimenopause and the symptoms, anything that I can get my hands on, I read. So I happened to read this the other day, and it said that the reason why there's such a big misconception about the menopausal symptoms is because for years they've always pushed the white women's symptoms, which are moderate to probably nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you have the ones that do have the severe, but for the most part, they never really recognized what Black women's symptoms look like. We're going to talk today about how to cope with perimenopause while being Black. First things first, I'm going to be reading off my paper because I have a lot of notes. So excuse me if I don't give you I like to be able to let you know ahead of time. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just reading. Social racism is bad enough that we have had to endure this. But now to find out all these years later that this actually can affect how you transition from being a childbearing woman to the next phase in life where you're no longer able to reproduce, but you're supposed to be having a kick-ass time because of that. But instead, we're sitting here battling our symptoms. You hear how some women have light, hot flashes. Maybe they feel like they're going to get the vapors. No, for some Black women, it is a torrential downpour, like every hour, on the hour. You can feel the calm before this storm comes because they're every hour. For some women, it's debilitating. For some of these Black women who don't get the proper medical diagnosis, it's heartbreaking for them. And I'm here to let you know that a lot of us Black women we're no longer going to be silenced. People need to start taking note of the Black women that are going through the severe menopause. Like, we are really getting our ass kicked with this. And at least acknowledge it. At least say, okay, you know what? I understand that my white patients going through menopause have like uncomfortable symptoms. But let me listen to my Black patients also, because my specialist didn't even know to tell me that what I had was called vasomotor syndrome. I had to look it up myself. Okay. So there's a lot of things that are missing in the medical industry for Black women, especially the ones that are going through perimenopause. I started with perimenopause almost 5 years ago. Okay. It hit me so hard that I thought that I was sick. I thought that I was dying because I'm like, this is not what perimenopause is supposed to be like. I don't know what this is, but this is not perimenopause. This is not what my mom had. This is not what I see other women have. Something is wrong with me. And because nobody could tell me what the problem was, I lived with that fear. Could you imagine how much stress that put on me? Being afraid, thinking that I had something completely different than what I had. But because nobody understood the technical term for it or could at least steer me in the direction, I had to go another 2 years before I could figure this out for myself. Me. Eventually, I ended up in the hospital because, again, I didn't know how to deal with the symptoms. I didn't know what to do. So I ended up in the hospital with severe dehydration. Severe dehydrations, kidneys were about to shut down. I was on my way out. And that's when they started doing like a bunch of tests on me, and I saw a lot of doctors, but still, again, nobody could say, oh, you have vasomotor syndrome. What they said is, oh, well, it looks like you might have a severe case of menopause. Go eat a bag of chips. Literally, that's what they told me. You know what? I'm going to figure this out for myself because I cannot take the word of any more white coats because nobody knows what's going on with my body. Nobody can steer me in the right direction, and I'm scared. So I don't want that for you. So I'm glad that you're here today, because being able to at least have an idea of what your body might potentially go through will at least, it'll get you halfway through the transition that you're going to have to go through emotionally, because inevitably it's going to happen. Last year, I decided to try HRT once I found a specialist to help me. That did not work. Well, once that didn't work, I was faced with, well, what the heck am I supposed to do for the next however many years I'm supposed to have this? Because this is driving me crazy. It's literally driving me insane. I was angry. I was depressed. I was crying all the time. In between my hot flashes, I was getting so upset, and I could just feel the intensity of the hot flashes coming, and I would just get anxious and angry. And I realized that I couldn't stay like that. I couldn't stay like that. Once I understood what it was I had, once I understood what the technical or what the medical term was and the symptoms that come under this, now what do I do? So for about a year, what I did was calm myself trying to do chakra healing. But I'm so used to doing the same old thing over and over again that something new for me, if I don't force myself to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to forget. Especially now, because my memory is horrible, which is another symptom. Thank you very much. Yeah, brain fog is so much fun. But this past winter, it was so bad for me. I was so depressed that I physically could not get off my behind. I was so, I want to say, filled with a numbness. And I'm like, what is this? I don't like this. I don't know what this is. I was able to recognize what it was, and I'm like, I need to come out of this. I cannot take it. This is really, really horrible for me. That's when I decided that I was going to go back to what I had started a year ago, which was um, chakra healing. Chakra healing is about unblocking all of those suppressed traumatic memories from way long ago, learning how to address them and let them go. It's about freeing up the emotional space for you to bring in the things that you want in your life. When I tell you this thing works, it works. It sounds a little woo, but it's not. It works so well. Once you let go of having low self-esteem, being shy, feeling fearful, feeling blocked emotionally, like all of these things can be unblocked and flowing through you like a river that's supposed to flow freely. All this wonderful energy out here can start flowing within you, because now you've healed those wounds that you didn't even know you had. And the only way to do that is to get in touch with yourself. You have to get in touch with yourself. That's the only way. Once I started getting deeper into my condition, I learned the why of my symptoms. I thought to myself, that sucks, because if all of these symptoms are what I'm exhibiting only applies to the minority of Black women, then yeah, that sucks. That sucks. You can't get away from it. The average Black woman who may have had traumatic childhood, grew up with abuse, poverty, bullying, these same girls who started families early in life, had abusive relationships themselves, financially struggled as a single parent, basically had to do everything. These are the same women that more than likely to experience intense hot flashes, insomnia, depression, anxiety, low libido, to name a few, than any other race. And Hispanics being a close second to that. Living in a society that deems you unfit or unworthy because of the color of your skin definitely does play a role to that, because when you think about it systematically for the last 20 years, especially if you're on public assistance, you know how people treat you. When you have an EBT card, you know how people treat you. People don't look at you the same. People look at you like you are beneath them. And after a while, you really start to feel that energy. When anybody looks at you a certain way, you feel what they're thinking based on your circumstances. Not who you are, not your character, not what you could potentially bring to the table, but the fact that you're on public assistance and you got an EBT card, so you must be a part of the problem. If you are like me, you're Black, you had kids early, you maybe got your GED, or maybe you didn't finish high school at all, you wanted to be the best parent you could possibly be, still ended up being a single parent, still couldn't do everything right, and now here you are about to be in your 50s, and then you start perimenopause. Don't know who you are because you've been identifying with your family for so long that you don't have an identity for yourself. What do? You got to get through it. You got to get through it. So, real quick, how to cope with perimenopause if you're Black. Okay. The first thing I had to do was I had to roar. RORE. Roaring means to reconnect with your inner voice. O means to organize your emotions. R is to retrain your brain, and E is to enjoy giving others. Now, let's go over that really quick. What do I mean by reconnect with your inner voice? If there's one thing I noticed about myself when I was going through my depression, I wasn't talking to God. I was defensive constantly. I felt chaotic within my mind. I wasn't listening to any intuitive voices. I wasn't doing anything that was going to put me on the right direction. And I think that was the reason why I just kept going in a circle. And I stayed in this depression for a very, very long time. So what I had to do is I had to force myself. I had to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit myself down and I'm going to reconnect to the higher powers. That's what I'm going to do because I need to do something. I'm not one to sit in a church. That's not for me. Not everybody is the same. I have a great relationship with God when I keep up with the relationship. God is always here. I know that. It's on me. So what I did was I reconnected with the higher power. I got the direct line back to the universe so that I could start listening to what the universe is trying to tell me so that I can go in the right direction because I don't know everything when it comes to this life. I don't know because I'm still learning. I'm not arrogant enough to think that just because I've had a couple of years of experience under my belt being a parent that I know everything. Trust me, I don't at all. I learned to accept that a long time ago. I put my pride to the side and said, you know what? Teach me. So being able to put your pride to the side, make an emotional connection with the higher power to stay connected will help you to figure out what the next move is that you're going to need to make for yourself on your journey, whatever the journey is. But when you're going through perimenopause, you have to have something to focus on, because if you don't, the hot flashes will completely take over, and it will. When I say you'll be miserable, you'll be miserable. You'll be miserable for years. I was miserable for 4 years. I was miserable for the entire time that I'm going through this. And because Black women have a longer time of being in it, not only do we start it early, but we have it maybe 10, 20 years after other races. You can't stay in that space for that long, because the chronic illnesses will kill you alone. Just being honest. Once you get yourself connected with that inner voice, you organize your emotions. And what do I mean by that? Once you start listening to your voice, you write down, you visualize what you truly want, and you say it out loud. For example, you hate your job, you want to leave, you're miserable, but you have to pay the bills. So the question is going to be, what I really want to do is, and you write this down. You write it down, just write it down, because it'll help you to see it, to visualize the potential ways you could possibly make that happen for yourself, or at least find something that you can do that will make you happy and push yourself into a new direction, as opposed to just being caught up in that moment of chaos. We don't want that. Once you've organized your emotions, and what I mean by that is once you've tapped into your inner self and you've actually started the healing process, you're going to make more space for yourself. Once you start making that space in your mind, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? What's going to be your POA, your point of action? Your point of action should start with that simple thought. Once you hit that thought, domino effect. Okay, I hate my job. I want to chef. I want to cook. So what do? Look up cooking schools. If you think you have enough swag that you don't need cooking school, then start doing research on the recipes and start doing videos. Start doing something that is going to manifest what you wrote on that paper and bring it to life. That's what you want to do. Being able to retrain your brain is going to help you do that. But first, you have to realize that you need to retrain your brain. The biggest problem that we as females go through, especially during this time, is that we're so influenced by our hormonal imbalance that our brain right now has all control, all of it. So if you're trying to break a habit, but you're stressed out and you're anxious, your brain is going to overpower what your new thought was, and it's going to dump the old thought on that. It's going to say, no, this is what you really want to do. And then you're going to do it because you're so used to it. It's a subconscious action. Now what you have to do is you have to start moving with purpose. You have to start moving consciously. If you're used to going right when you want to change a habit, go left. Keep going left until going left feels more comfortable than going right. You have to go in a different direction in order to go down a different path. And this helps when you have the emotional space to start doing that. Okay? Making plans for yourself as you transition. Kids are grown or teenagers. You know, you might be divorced. Maybe you're, like I said, a single parent. There's something going on in your life that is prompting you to make a change. You just probably don't know what it is. I'm telling you, this is what it is. You got to go through these motions. Then what you want to do is you want to go to E. Oh, enjoy giving to others. Now, when I first created Roar, I thought E was going to be like, I'm going to make me some money and I'm going to start giving out some prizes and some gifts. That's how I showed my value. But by being on here, being confident enough to start making videos and posting content that I think will be beneficial for some women, it gave me the necessary space that I needed to recognize my value isn't about money. It's about knowledge. It's about being able to bring what I learned to you so that you don't have to go through such a horrible ordeal as I did when you start your perimenopause or if you are currently in it. This thing is life changing. Breaking habits to make space for new habits is going to be a daily practice. This is something I had to learn. And this is the reason why it's working for me now, because I'm more mindful now. I'm not allowing myself to get caught up in my emotions. I'm trying to be as strategic as I can in this process. So by me being able to practice daily what I set my small goals for myself, I feel better. It actually makes a difference. I feel my head being lifted. Like, okay, I did that. Yes, I have this on my checklist. Check. I did that. Okay, check. Because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. So that's what you want to do. You want to reward yourself with actually doing the things that you said you were going to do. Because sometimes some of us will say, okay, we're going to do something, but we never do it. Now, make a conscious effort. Even if it's just for about 5-10 minutes, even if it's just something as simple as going to go buy some poo-poo bags and clean up after your damn dog. Unleashing years of trauma will allow you to start taking better care of your physical health. This will be the time to commit to working out, and it's not just for weight loss. Ladies, Black women in general going through perimenopause and menopause have an increased chance of having heart disease or strokes. The earlier the age of perimenopause, the greater the risk. Some Black women start perimenopause as early as before 40. I know some Black women in their 70s and 80s who are still having hot flashes. Okay. Like, yeah, I've been going through this for like 30 years, 40 years. I'm like, what? We are also at greater risk for arthritis, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. High cholesterol being a symptom. Okay. As part of this whole process, I looked it up. Yes, because of the drop of estrogen, our body is going wonky right now, which means that your perimenopause may be spiking your cholesterol levels. You might want to go to the doctor and check that out. During this time, we all need to be mindful of what we are doing to our bodies and how we are treating them, because we have a lot to lose as we transition. Cartilage, bone, the necessary nutrients that our body needs to function properly. Like right now, it's going through a process. So this is the reason why you have to start meeting your body halfway. Now, this worked for me. And I really believe, whether you're religious or not, whether you're spiritual or not, being able to unblock your chakras will help you on so many levels and help you in so many different ways. Basically, to cope with your perimenopause, you have to start your chakra healing, babe. Okay? Start unblocking some childhood trauma. Start letting some things go. Start forgiving some people, because when you do that, you can make the space to put in place losing weight, getting healthy, getting stronger, getting more empowered, being encouraging and inspirational to other people. Like, there's so many positive things that you can fill those spaces with, but you have to get them out of your life. Start to roar. Start making those lifestyle changes, which is eating better, working out, getting that body strong, because you're literally battling perimenopause right now. If you don't, by the time menopause is over, you're going to deal with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic pains, chronic illnesses. Who has time for that? We don't have time for that. Vitamins are going to become crucial. They're going to be like your best friend. D3 is an absolute must, because I've read, even though we thought that sitting out in the sun would give us the necessary nutrients we needed for our body for the vitamin D. Apparently, because we're Black, we can't soak in the sun. So we're not getting the vitamin D that we think we're getting. So get yourself some vitamin D3, because that's the one that you need. And let's get this body right. First things first, remember, you got to be ready. You got to be good and tired of how you're feeling. Because if you are, get a journal. Start your chakra healing from the root all the way up to the crown. Start believing in yourself. Start doing more positive affirmations for yourself. Start just trying to find out what it is you really want to do now. It's 20 plus years later. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to become somebody completely different if that's what you want. It's about not being stressed during this time, because the stress of having to deal with these symptoms, it's not worth it, because it causes way too many chronic illnesses. And that's what they're not telling us. That's what they're not talking about. This right here can end your life. And I'm being very, very serious. A lot of the stuff that I talked about today, you can also read the article on oprahdaily.com. I will be putting the link down below so you can have that and check it out. It's a good read. And I hope you found my video to be informational. If you have any comments, you know where to leave them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this with your girls. This is Carla Alexander with Keeping It Real. Until next time, don't forget to look out for my videos. Put that notification bell on. This is the one-stop shop to come for your perimenopausal questions and tips.